other video on how to make homemade dish soap, and you're definitely going to want to check this video out because it's a new and improved, revised recipe thanks to a viewer who said she tried it out and it made her hands dry. I've gone ahead and experimented, and I'm bringing to you guys a recipe that's not only going to get your dishes clean, but moisturize your hands in the process. So stay tuned because all that's coming up next. Thank you so much for checking in today. I'm really excited to bring you this new and improved, revised dish soap recipe. Thanks to a viewer, like I said in my intro, who said it made her hands dry. I thought, what can I do to make it more moisturizing? So we're gonna go ahead and get started. The recipe is very similar to the other recipe with the change of one special ingredient. Arm & Hammer Super Washing Soda. You can pick this up in your grocery store's laundry detergent aisle, and it's really cheap, usually about $4 or so. Then you're gonna need a bar of Fells Naphtha soap. I'm sorry you can't see the whole label here because it is ripped off from being partially used, but this is Fells Naphtha soap, also in the laundry detergent aisle of your local store, and it's about 99 cents, and this one bar of soap will last you forever. These two ingredients, plus things like borax and essential oils, vinegar, baking soda, these are ingredients that you want to have in your house at all times because there are so many things that you can do with them. And please check out my other videos to see some of those things. I have a playlist on homemade cleaning products, natural cleaning products, and you'll see how a lot of the different ways that you can use those same basic ingredients. All right, next you're gonna need a bottle of just plain white vinegar, and then you're going to need some essential oil, and I picked out lemon because it's gonna give it a nice citrusy scent for cleaning. But however, this is optional, and especially for those of you with sensitive skin, like my viewer who said that the recipe dried out her hands, you want to be careful with essential oils because if you're putting it into something that's going on your skin, if you have really sensitive skin, it could irritate it, make it itchy. I have no problems with it. I use essential oils in tons of products, and a lot of people don't have any problems with it. But I'm just warning you, like, experiment. If you try out the recipe and it irritates your hands, try it without the essential oils. And then finally, you're going to want some vitamin E oil. This is the new secret ingredient, all right? This is what's going to make it moisturizing and leaving your skin silky. All right, and then you're also gonna need some water. We're gonna go ahead and get started, and I'm gonna show you how to make it. So you just need a bowl, and you're also gonna need a measuring cup, a cheese grater, and also some measuring spoons, and a spoon to stir with. First things first, we're gonna put the Fells Naphtha in there. You're gonna want 1 tablespoon of the Fells Naphtha, and I've already actually grated this for the purposes of this video. Okay, I'm gonna put the tablespoon of the Fells Naphtha. Then you're gonna want 1 tablespoon of the Super Washing Soda. Then you're gonna want 1 tablespoon of the white vinegar. You're gonna do about a half to a whole tablespoon of vitamin E oil. Just about a half a tablespoon is good, really. Then you're going to put about 5 drops of your essential oil. The final step is to add in the water. So I've got some water boiling on the stove. I'm gonna go grab that. Got my boiling water here. We're gonna go ahead, get our measuring cup. We're gonna do 1½ cups of hot boiling water. Then you're gonna take a spoon and start stirring it up. And one thing I wanted to add that wasn't in my earlier video was before, when I used to make the homemade dish soap, I was grating the soap on the bigger slats of the cheese grater, you know, because there's 2 size holes on the cheese grater. You have the larger and the smaller. And so I was using the larger, but the problem with that is that the little flakes of soap are too big, and when you put it, you mix it all up and you're stirring it up, it's harder for those chunks of soap to dissolve. So what happens is you end up having some kind of small clumps of soap inside the dish soap, and then when you're trying to squeeze it out of your bottle, it's gonna sometimes clog up the hole, and it's so frustrating. You're trying to clean the dishes and you're sitting there like trying to unclog the hole because it's filled with a big chunk of soap. Not cool. So, well, I know maybe it sounds like common sense, but it wasn't common sense initially for me, and so I finally tried using the smaller holes on the cheese grater. Works much better. The soap makes more of a kind of like a fine dust, and it's a lot easier to have it dissolve inside the hot water. So this looks like it's starting to gel up already pretty quickly, and the trick is to just kind of let it sit and periodically stir it over the course of a couple hours or so, and you'll see it begin to thicken up and gel up. And after it's been sitting for a while, if you find that it's too thick, then go ahead and add a little bit more water to just thin out the consistency. And then when you're all done with that, you can put it in your container and it's ready to use. All right, I'm gonna let that sit for a little bit. I'm gonna continue to stir it, and then I'm gonna check back in with you guys when it's ready to go, and I'll show you how well it works. Dish soap, and it's nice and thickened and gel-like, but it actually is just a little bit too thick. So I got another cup of water, and I'm just gonna add a little bit at a time. And I'm gonna use this whisk to kind of break up the clumps. All right, I added about a half a cup more water. So I would still encourage you to do just the cup and a half, because, you know, depending on if your measurements were exact, like with the Fels naphtha or some things like that, could change the consistency. So start out with the cup and a half of water, and then just add a little bit more after it's sat for a couple hours until you get the right consistency. You want it gel-like and kind of thick, but still very fluid. All right, I'm gonna go ahead and transfer this from the bowl to my container, and I'm a huge advocate for reusing containers. You know, if you already have something that you purchased from the store, the container is likely gonna be more sturdy and the right kind of size for the product that you're making. So if you check out my other videos, I'll put a link to a few of them in the description box below of how to make homemade natural products, beauty products, cleaning products. You'll see that I'm a big fan of reusing containers. So I have here just a small dish soap container. I'm gonna go ahead and be putting the dish soap in there. So I'm gonna get this in here, and then I'm gonna show you guys how well the soap works. All right, it's time to wash some dishes. Okay, I've got my newly made dish soap, and I'm gonna go ahead and squirt that on. You might wanna shake it up a little bit before using it too if it gets a little clumpy. So you can see that's the kind of texture that it is. Turn on the water, and get hot. All right, I just got a couple dishes here. I'm just gonna soak this up. So you can kind of see there, it gets a little bit soapy. With the revised recipe, it doesn't get as soapy as the original recipe, but it's okay because it definitely gets the dishes clean. So I'm just gonna soak that up, rinse it off. Got a plate here, it's got some pizza on it. I'm just gonna soak that up. You can see it gets all the food right off. There you have it, the new improved dish soap recipe to leave your hands more moisturized than the original recipe. Those of you who are new to my channel, don't forget to subscribe and hit that bell button so you can get notifications when I post new videos.